Değerli Turkuaz TV izleyicileri, İş Dünyası Covid dönemi özel yerine hoş geldiniz. Ekonominin artık yavaş yavaş açılmaya başladığı bu dönemde inovasyon ve dijital dönüşümü konuşmaya devam ediyoruz. Bugünkü konuğumuz kariyerini design thinking, inovatif düşünme üzerine adamış, aynı zamanda bu konuda TEDx konuşmaları yapmış Sayın Nilüfer Erdebil. Nilüfer, öncelikle hoş geldin.
Hoş bulduk, merhaba.
Turkuaz TV izleyicilerimiz için seni tanıyabilir miyiz?
Evet, ben İstanbul'da doğdum ve 7-8 yaşındayken Edmonton'a taşındık. Şubat'ın sonunda ve o zaman anladım hayatımızda epey değişeceğini. Elektrik mühendisiyim ve bir arada geliştiricilik yaptım. Ondan sonra da okula yeniden geri gittim MBA almak için. Ve 8-9 sene evvel bir şirket başlattım. Spring to Innovation.
Evet.
Şimdi biz şirketlere ve hükümetlere design thinking ve inovasyon öğretiyoruz ve danışmanlık yapıyoruz.
Ekonominin tekrar hareketlenmeye başladığı bu dönemde post-Covid sonrası yeni normalde iş hayatında nelerin değişeceğini öngörüyorsun?
I think a lot of things are going to be changing. Well, they're already changing right now, and then as things are opening up, they're going to change even further, and it's going to be in phases as we change how we're going back to work. And everything about how we're going back to work is going to change, from trying to keep people 2 meters apart to how we even take elevators to what time we even start work. And then for our kids, I think they're going to be staying at home and doing more online learning. And then what businesses are doing and who they're doing it for is going to be shifting. In fact, we're actually helping some businesses right now as they look at reframing what they do. So taking a look at what resources they have, what their core competencies are, and then where their end clients have gone. And so the way that our clients and our customers are behaving and what they want now has shifted. And so now we're helping businesses understand where they need to go to in order to continue to be in business. And even for our government clients, how they're working is changing. There'll be more working from home, but also as they're going into their work environments, when they go in, for how long is going to change in the near and long-term future.
Senin de bahsettiğin üzere esasında iş hayatında birçok şey değişecek. Fiziksel anlamda, iş yapış şekli anlamında. Bu da esasında bize işe bakışta, düşünce tarzımızı da değiştirmemiz gerektiğini söylüyor. Bu noktada design thinking belki Covid öncesi dönemde genelde olsa da olur diye düşünülen bir konseptken şimdi hayatımızın içerisinde olmazsa olmaz bir hale geliyor. Öncelikle design thinking'i bize bir tarif edebilir misin?
Yeah, design thinking involves people. So anything that involves people. And it's even more important right now because there's so much shifting and there's a lot of emotions involved. And so design thinking is more necessary than ever. And it's a way of looking at things from a human perspective. And so taking a look at who are the people that are being challenged by this problem and actually talking with them to understand what their real problem is. And so with design thinking, there's typically 5 phases, is where you're empathizing with your end clients, just even thinking about who are my end clients, and then understanding what their challenges are, what their values are, what their goals are, what their fears are, before you even understand what the problem you need to solve is. And then that way you're making sure that you're solving their real problem, and then coming up with ideas, prototyping, and testing them with end clients. And so design thinking is phenomenal for times when there's lots of change and times when it involves people. And so right now during COVID, design thinking is starting to get even more and more notice, and organizations want to bring it in so that they themselves can shift and reframe, and then the people within the organizations can shift and reframe.
Önemli bir noktaya değindin. Design thinking esasında insanı temel alan bir yaklaşım ve değişim oldukça, insanı etkileyen değişimler oldukça da anlam kazanıyor. Bu dönemde çok doğru bir dönem design thinking'in büyümesi için. Bu noktada iş hayatında karar alma süreçlerinde design thinking'i nasıl uygulayabiliriz? Nereden başlamalıyız?
First, even in the work environment that you're in your teams, it's really important to understand the different perspectives that everyone has and the different realities that everyone's living. And so not everybody has kids at home. And then with those with kids, they're trying to do some homeschooling or just basic home care. And so just understanding how people are living and how people are working is really important. And then in terms of how we're working, it's you need to increase more collaboration because you're not seeing people face to face every day now. Yeah. It's how do you create that collaboration in a virtual environment? And then how do you prevent Zoom fatigue from happening? And so there's so much virtual meetings going on right now that it actually gets tiring. But then on the other hand, nothing has increased digital literacy and adoption more than this has. Sure. And it's happened just over the last 2 or 3 months. And so people that were very adamant about not ever working from home are now telling us that even when this is over, they're going to want to work from home a little bit more because people are seeing the advantages of it. And then in terms of how businesses are working too, is they need to be able to, for the most part, reach their clients in a different way. And so what way do their end clients want to be reached? People still need food, and so restaurants have changed how they're doing their models. And there's a lot of other things that people still need, like people still need haircuts. And so how is that going to shift? And then in terms of larger organizations is how are you going to get to your clients, rethinking how that's being done, not just from a marketing and sales perspective, but the products and services that you're also offering. How do people want them now? And this is a super unprecedented time, and a lot is shifting. So there's also a lot of great opportunities too. And so it's really important to have the mindset of thinking, what are the opportunities out there, and how can we use this to change not just our business, but also our business model so that we're making it easier for our end clients.
Senin de bahsettiğin üzere design thinking esasında tamamen collaboration'ı içeren, hatta design thinking workshoplarında 5 aşamadan geçilir ve bunlar da birkaç gün sürer esasında. Önemli bir noktaya da temas ettin. Fırsatları görmek, içinde bulunduğumuz dönem belki sürekli krizden mutsuz olmak değil ama potansiyel fırsatları görmek. Online toplantılarla 24 saatimizi neredeyse doldurduğumuz şu dönemde şunu da merak ediyorum. Design Thinking'i Virtual Design Thinking olarak uygulamak da mümkün mü? Veya bu açıdan neleri öneriyorsun, neleri öngörüyorsun? Çünkü klasik anlamda hep insanların bir araya geldiği, beraber çalıştığı bir süreçten bahsediyoruz. Bunu sanal ortamlarda yapmak ne kadar kolay?
Tabii. So we've been doing our training for design thinking virtually, and we've also been facilitating virtually because some of our clients are across the country. Yep. And their teams are across the country too. And so we've been doing this for a while, and now there's even further demand. And so we're working with clients now to help them understand how they can do design thinking virtually. And part of it is getting people adjusted to being in an online environment, and then changing up the activities that you're doing, the duration too. You can't get people into a room or into a virtual meeting for a day now. It has to be in half-hour, 1.5-hour chunks. And then that also means more planning in advance and taking advantage of the tools that are available. There's some great online collaboration tools out there that you can use in collaboration with things like Zoom. But overall, it's a lot about creating the space to hear people's thoughts and perspectives, and they need it more now than ever. I think there's a lot of feeling of isolation, even in the people's work environments. And so just giving people a chance to talk about what they want, what their needs are, and then also how they can also help themselves makes a big difference in how motivated people are, how resilient they are, and how much they're able to move forward beyond this.
Design Thinking'in hep iş dünyası tarafını konuştuk. Şunu sormak isterim. Kişisel hayatlarımıza da design thinking yaklaşımını uygulayabilir miyiz?
Yeah, design thinking is amazing for our personal lives as well because we have to keep in mind that we have a lot of goals, values, fears that are unarticulated. So making sure that we're bringing them to the forefront. And as we're dealing with the people in our lives, understanding what their challenges, goals, values, and fears are so that we can see things from their perspective, and it'll allow us to better understand them and then also to better work with them to make sure that we're all living the types of lives that we want to have. And the second part of design thinking that I love for our personal lives is the prototyping. And so we don't necessarily have to have just one way of living our lives. There's many different prototypes that we can follow and try out along the way. And if they don't work, they don't work. And so you go back or you go to another route. And so constantly, even for myself, reminding myself that this doesn't have to be permanent. And so trying it out, seeing whether I like it, not like it, and then keep moving forward from there. And the prototyping aspect of it just gives information about whether or not something's a fit or not a fit, and constantly trying to remind myself and others that take our training that there are multiple futures, there are multiple future prototypes. And so think about what are some of the things that you've wanted to do, and then start prototyping it as early as possible, especially right now.
Şöyle desek, yani bu yorumuma katılır mısın? İnsanın ve çözülmesi gereken bir problemin olduğu her noktada design thinking yaklaşımını uygulayabiliriz.
Evet, tabii. Yeah.
Özellikle şimdi bu sohbeti dinleyip design thinking'i merak eden izleyicilerimiz de olacaktır. Bu alanda design thinking ile alakalı en iyi okuduğun kitap hangisiydi? Biraz zor bir soru.
Ya çok zor bir soru. Change by Design en iyisi. Ve şimdi ben de kitap yazıyorum. Ama daha bitmedi. There's lots of different books that you can look at around design thinking. It's a matter of where you're coming from. And so if you're in a particular industry, I'd recommend going for books that are geared towards that particular industry. But Change by Design by Tim Brown is probably the foundational book that I would start reading first. And then if you want to learn more about design thinking, there's a lot of websites, including ours, out there where you can read about design thinking. And we certainly have training too. But it's just even thinking about your perspective, is looking at things from a human perspective. That's the key. And so if you can remember that we're all human beings trying to work together, trying to navigate life and this major life change together, I think that's a big step towards understanding one another and moving forward together.
Aynı zamanda izleyicilerimiz Stanford'ın da D-School yaklaşımı ve design thinking ile alakalı çok güzel bir web siteleri vardır. Onu da inceleyebilirler. Tabii bu noktada iş hayatını, kişisel hayatlarımızı konuştuk. Biraz da bu Covid döneminde evde kalmaktan dolayı çok sıkıldık. En çok neyi yapmayı özledin Nilüfer? Yani bu her şey normale döndüğünde ilk neyi yapacaksın?
Arkadaşlarımla lokantaya çıkmayı çok özledim. Ve onlarla sarılmak. Tatile çıkmak da özledim. Geçen Haziran annem ve çocuklarımla Türkiye'ye gidebildik. Ve de ben buz paten yapmayı çok seviyorum. Ve 6 ay evvel ayağımı kırdım. Onun için bu kış fazla yapamadım. Ve tam zamanı şimdi geri gitmek için buz paten yapmaya. Ama yapamıyorum.
Tabii bir yandan kitap yazdığında bahsettin. Kitabın yayınlandığı noktada tekrardan seni misafir etmek ve kitabın üzerine de sohbet etmek isteriz İş Dünyası'nda.
Çok teşekkürler. Ben de severim.
Nilüfer, bugünkü keyifli sohbetimiz için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Çok önemli içgörüler verdin ama izleyicilerimiz için şunu tekrarlamak istiyorum. İnsanın ve çözülecek problemlerin olduğu her noktada sadece iş hayatı olmak zorunda değil, design thinking yaklaşımını uygulayabiliyoruz ve en önemlisi senin de söylediğin gibi bir takım çıkarımlar yapıp bunları hızlı bir şekilde test edip neyin çalışıp neyin çalışmadığını görebilmek. Şu dönemde belki işler yavaşlamış olabilir ama bu testleri yapmak için de uygun zamanlar var. Bu yeni normal düzen artık bize design thinking yaklaşımında merkeze oturtmamızı söylüyor.
Evet.
Tekrar çok teşekkür ediyorum. Değerli Turkuaz TV izleyicileri, fırsatları kaçıran çoktur ama fırsatın kaçırdığı insan yoktur. İş hayatında bu yeni dönemde tüm fırsatlar sizlerle beraber olsun. Yeni bölümümüzde görüşmek üzere. Kendinize iyi bakın.